the Divorced Girl Smiling Podcast with your host, Jackie Pilosoff.
No one should have to go through a divorce feeling alone and isolated. That's why I created the Divorced Girl Smiling Podcast. Every show is 30 minutes, and the guests are my Divorced Girl Smiling trusted professionals. They're so wonderful. Financial advisors, divorce attorneys, mediators, divorce coaches, therapists, and more. We talk about every subject that you can even think of having to do with divorce. The podcast is meant to empower you and inspire you and make you feel really, really confident so that you can have a good divorce outcome and a great post-divorce life. You can find the Divorced Girl Smiling Podcast pretty much anywhere podcasts can be found, and always at divorcedgirlsmiling.com. So grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and start smiling. Before we get started, I want to tell you about two Divorced Girl Smiling trusted professionals who I think you're going to want to know about. The first one is financial advisor Joanne Littman. So Joanne is somebody I have known for, I want to say 8 or 9 years. Joanne is wonderful. She's been a financial advisor since 2014, and she's a divorced mom, so she completely understands how you're feeling. And Joanne is someone who is a great listener, very dedicated to helping women as their advocate during and after divorce, or even if you're thinking about divorce. She's such a wonderful person to talk to. She's very knowledgeable, and she cares so much about being your advocate. If you want to learn more, you can find Joanne on the New York Life website, which is newyorklife.com. And you can also find her in the Trusted Professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. I also want to tell you about a wonderful divorce attorney in Florida named Anthony Diaz. Anthony is a divorce attorney, a mediator, and an arbitrator, and he calls himself a peacemaker. And the reason is, for the past 19 years, Anthony, who is also a CPA, has been practicing collaborative divorce law and mediation to ensure that his clients have fair outcomes and a healthy post-divorce co-parenting relationship. I trust Anthony, I respect him, and I think you will too. If you want to learn more, you can find Anthony at anthonydiazlaw.com. Co-parenting is hard in any situation. And I'm just going to say that. I never met a couple who said, oh, it's so easy. We get along great. We have from the beginning. We're always really respectful and kind, and we're great friends. I think that can happen over time, but I definitely don't think at the beginning of a relationship things look like that, or at the beginning of a divorce. When one person gets into another relationship or gets remarried, co-parenting just got a lot more complicated. So maybe you were good friends and now your ex-spouse brought in someone new, and now you're kind of upset about it, and you feel maybe threatened, meaning you're worried that your kids are going to like her more than you. And so I want to talk today all about co-parenting when one of the parents has a significant other. We're going to talk about boundaries. We're going to give you tips. We're going to tell some stories of our own situations. And it's going to be me and my guest. My guest is Trina Nudson, and Trina is the founder of her co-parenting program called BEH2O. Trina is also a divorce attorney, a certified divorce coach. She's a licensed social worker. She's a mediator. She's a parenting coordinator. Definitely qualified to write this course, BEH2O, which is a fantastic program, which we're going to tell you more about in the show. Hi, Trina.
Hi, Jackie.
So nice to see you, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you for having me. Me as well.
And I want to tell my listeners that both Trina and I have been in this situation. And so not only is Trina a professional who is in this space, but she's experienced it firsthand. That's why I think you're really going to like this podcast. All right. So Trina, Have you, in all of your work, in all of your jobs, ever seen a couple come in and they right off the bat are great co-parents? I mean, maybe a couple, but why is it so difficult to be that way, especially at the beginning?
Well, Jackie, I think it's difficult to be good co-parents when you're married. I've been married for 23 years and it's a struggle at times, right? But you are now getting separated. You're no longer together, and you're being asked to send your child to go stay with someone, in someone's home that you don't trust, that you don't value, that you don't like that person. You disagree on things, and guess what? They're parenting in ways that you don't agree with. And now you're being asked to send your child there and be happy about it. That's hard. And you miss your child, and that's hard. So co-parenting is hard because we're human.
And you're so angry at your ex at this point. There's been so much that's happened. Probably been fighting for a long time. You don't respect him or her anymore. And so you're thinking, well, I don't want my kids around this person. Now, I'm speaking even from personal experience. I don't feel that way today, but I did at the beginning of my divorce. I was like, well, if I can't stand living with him, why would I want my children to live with him? And so it's very personal. And I think that sometimes for people getting divorced, it's really hard to be objective and remember that your kids still love your ex so much, even though you don't. And they don't mind his imperfections. And they don't mind the things that drove you nuts because blood is very thick and we all love our parents unconditionally, So all right, now add in a significant other. And then how do people feel about sending their kids over not only to the ex that they don't even like, but now with this new woman that they don't even know anything about? That's really scary too.
Yeah, I think that, Jackie, you talked about anger. And I think those some fighting words, right? We're angry. Everyone says we're angry, but really we're just scared. We're just fearful. And that's actually coming out as anger. And so when we can accept that for ourselves and acknowledge it, right? I'm fearful. I'm disappointed that I'm not the one there for these events. Then it helps us really drill down. Okay, well, what is the important about these events? What is important about this experience for my child? And so then it helps you become more grounded and more able to, even though you don't like your co-parent, or even though you may not like his or her significant other, you can at least become grounded in what you're trying to achieve for your child.
Absolutely. All right, now you're sort of talking about what your course teaches, what BEH2O teaches, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's a 16-week program, excuse me. And everyone is like, "What do you mean it's 16 weeks?" Well, we have to retrain our brain. We have to develop new neural pathways. We have to shift our paradigm, which actually takes a lot of time. And so BEH2O brings us through that and starting to understand those feelings and really what we're trying to achieve for our children. And then helping two parents align in reference to their top 3 to 5 goals that they want to achieve for their children, and how they're gonna set boundaries to support them in achieving goals, and how they're going to communicate. And that can include a significant other as well.
okay, so let's just tell people, we'll talk about more about BEH2O, but let's tell them. So there's a couple ways you can do this. If you like what you're hearing and you're like, you know what, we could really use this. You can go to thelaneproject.com. You can go to BEH2O tab and it will tell you all about the class and you can sign up, correct?
Well, there is a list of providers that are
Oh,
certified
I was
BE.
gonna get to that. I thought you could also just sign up, but you're saying you have to find a provider in your area, and there's a whole list on that page, and you can contact that person and be trained in the BEH2O method.
Yes, So it does not even have to be in your area. So some of the providers do in person, some of the providers do virtual. So there is a list of all of the providers. The Lane Project itself does not provide BEH2O. It's one of our certified coaches that does. So right now we have a list of 11 certified coaches, and we will be having about 10 more join this October.
Okay. I want to talk more about BEH2O a little bit later, but I want to get into like, and this might be in the course, Trina, this might be in the training of BEH2O, but why do we feel so insecure? Like, this is a great example. My ex got remarried, and I felt like, wow, where's the justice? He was such a bad husband to me, and now he gets to have his happily ever after with this beautiful blonde woman who was much, much younger than me, who had a beautiful body. And, it seemed really unfair. I felt very insecure. I felt like, oh my gosh, they're going to be the fun ones, and I'm going to be the nag mom, and my kids are always going to want to be with me. I was totally wrong. Now, Trina has been on the other side. She was the new wife. So, Trina, you were telling me before we started recording, I want you to tell the listeners how you felt as the girlfriend slash new wife.
Well, so my husband, then boyfriend, um, him and Lane's mother, her name is Nicole, they were never married themselves, but they had Lane. And so I met Lane at the same time my then boyfriend, now husband, met Lane. It was 3 days before her first birthday. So bless Nicole's heart, she did this all on her own for the first year of her daughter's life. And then comes me. Like, then comes me. I'm a 25-year-old. There's this little precious little baby, right? I'm wanting to love her like she's my own, right? And so I am stepping all over boundaries right and left, Jackie. Like, I don't even know how Nicole dealt with me at all. But she did an amazing job. And when Lane turned 16, Lane's 25 now. But when Lane turned 16, Nicole invited me to a girls' luncheon. So all Lane's friends were there, and Nicole was there, and I was there. And I turned to Nicole and I said, how the hell did you deal with me all of those years? Because at this point, I had two younger girls of my own, and I could absolutely never imagine another woman taking my girls to get their hair done or their nails done. How awful that would have been. And she said, very simply, Trina, you made Lane happy. And wow, that was her grounding force without any training at all. As a 25-year-old, she was able to make that decision, but she was also able to set limits. So I was really excited when Lane started kindergarten. And I was really excited for that parent teacher conference. And Nicole told Jason, I don't want Trina there. And that hurt, Jackie. I cried in my bedroom. I will not forget it. But I respected that boundary. And that's how our relationship continued to grow. What did that result in? I was the only other woman at the 16-year-old birthday party, right? Celebrating Lane. But Nicole wasn't going to be her best parenting self if another woman was in that parent-teacher conference. And what Lane deserved is a mom and dad that were both at their best parenting selves. I didn't realize that when I was 30, but Nicole did. And that's something that I teach because Nicole taught me that.
Wow. Well, this Nicole, first of all, sounds like an amazing woman. And I feel like you're really blessed, Trina. You're all blessed for how it turned out and everything. We have to go to a break, but I am so loving this conversation. I don't even want to do it, but we'll take a short break. And when we come back, I want to continue telling our stories. And then I want to talk about how Trina talks about the entrepreneurial mindset of co-parenting, and then what boundaries look like specifically, and then when the past and the present collide. So we will be right back. You're listening to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff. I'm your host. My guest is Trina Nudson, who is the founder of the Lane Project and the co-parenting program called BEH2O. We'll be right back. The day your divorce is finalized, you're going to feel a huge relief. At least that's how I felt. You feel like, okay, this is the start of a new chapter. However, what I didn't realize at the time was that there's a long to-do list that comes with a divorce being finalized. There's a checklist of things that have to be done that you agree upon. One of those things is getting a new will and trust. And I cannot stress enough how important that is, and you should start the process as soon as you can. If you're looking to do this in Illinois, I would highly recommend Emily Roswadowski, wills and estate planning attorney. Emily's great. She's been doing this for a long, long time. It's a fixed cost, so you're not being billed hourly. And you can talk to Emily as much as you want, ask her so many questions, and you don't have to worry that the clock's ticking and you're getting billed. I really trust Emily. She knows what she's doing, and you're going to have such peace of mind if you do your wills and estate plan right after your divorce. You can find Emily at emilyroslaw.com. I also want to tell you about a wonderful divorce mediator. Her name is Leah Hadley. She's a mediator and the founder of her practice, Intentional Divorce Solutions. Leah is so experienced, especially in the financial arena. She's a CDFA, and she shines in assisting couples with complex financial situations. Leah also went through a divorce, and she understands what you're going through. If you want to learn more or talk to Leah, you can find her at intentionaldivorcesolutions.com. And you can find both Leah and Emily in the Trusted Professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. Welcome back to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff, and I'm your host. Are you trying to navigate co-parenting with your spouse who now has a significant other? That's what we're talking about today. My guest is Trina Nudson. Trina is the founder of BEH2O, a child-focused joint parenting approach. And she has 11 providers. If you go to thelaneproject.com, you can find somebody who can work with you with this BEH2O method and help you guys become better co-parents, which will lead to happier, healthier kids and a happier, healthier you. All right. So, Trina, we were just talking. You told your lovely story. I wish mine would have gone that way. I wish I had a Nicole. My ex's new wife, who they're now divorced, but she was very standoffish, threatened by me, didn't want to be friends, in fact, wanted it to be contentious. And it wasn't like she was the reason we got divorced. It was way after that they met. So it was really sad for the kids, and I had a lot of anger for that because I'm the kind of person, like, I wanted to be friends. I was over the marriage. I was, like, fine with them getting married. Well, I was and I wasn't. At the beginning, I cried, but that was because I was, like, really shocked. But after the first, like, month, I, like, accepted it and, really wanted to try to co-parent in the best way possible. My point is, and my question is, what do you tell people who want to be a really good co-parent, but they're looking at an ex and or an ex's significant other who just really want to be enemies and who don't want to do it? How do you deal with that scenario?
Well, it's the idea of using the child's best interest. And so a lot of people will approach me and say, well, if my ex would do it if they really cared about the child, they would let us all sit in the room. I completely disagree with that approach. Because if we really let's talk about a child's birthday party. Okay. So if we really cared about our child, we would have a birthday party together. Well, why do we want to have a birthday party? Why do you want to have a birthday party for your child, Jackie?
You want to make your child happy and celebrate your child.
And so you want your child to be happy, you want to celebrate your child. Do you want your child to be anxious?
No,
Do you want your child to be overwhelmed?
no.
Okay. So if one of the four two-step parents, two significant others, and the mom and dad or whatever the situation is there, if even one of them is anxious or overwhelmed, mirror neurons come into play and it infects the entire birthday party. And we absolutely undermine our why of having a fun, joyous, celebratory occasion for the child. I can't change the fact that one parent or significant other is scared or uncomfortable with the situation. I could ruminate on that and get a whole hell of a lot of nowhere, or we could accept that this system is running where one of the individuals does not feel comfortable. And that uncomfortableness is going to undermine the absolute reason we wanted to have the birthday party together after all. And so if we can really delve down into it, it becomes less about someone being the problem and more about how are we going to create a system that supports it. So maybe one set comes in at the beginning of the birthday party and one set comes in at the end of the birthday party. Or one of them takes them to dinner and the other one takes them to the movies. Or, there's all sorts of things.
You mean like one takes the whole party to the dinner before and the other one takes the whole party to the movie? Is that what you're saying?
Afterwards, right? They
Yeah.
split up the birthday party. That's one possibility. Or one, they have a sleepover and then the other picks them up and takes them to breakfast afterwards. I don't know.
Yeah.
Really, it's stop we need to stop getting stuck in the what and how we're going to do it and understand what our why is. We want our child to feel celebrated and loved. Okay, how can we do that within the confines of where everyone is at in this situation?
All right. So, from your answer to my question, it sounds like BEH2O teaches people how to make these compromises and do this even if you have a difficult ex. So, if I was having learning this program with you, I would now, if we were back, 15 years ago, call my ex up and say, hey, having a birthday party, which we did. We're going to lunch at this rib sports bar with these boys. And afterwards, we're taking them for this baseball thing that we were doing. Why don't I go to the lunch? And then you guys can drive over to the baseball thing and you can be there then.
No, Jackie, I wouldn't approach it that way at all.
Okay.
Because you just told your co-parent what to do. And
Okay.
once it is your idea, it is a bad idea. That's just how it works.
You're right.
So if you would propose that, he would say no. Probably even if you guys got along fairly well, because you don't wanna be controlled by that individual. He doesn't wanna be controlled by you. He's done with you. So we have to, rather than fight that, we have to accept it. So you go into your why. I feel really excited when I'm thinking about our son's 13th birthday party coming up because I want him to do something he really enjoys and be able to celebrate it with both of us. Do you have any ideas of how we might accomplish this? I can guarantee you, your co parent would want your son to do something he enjoys, would want him to have an enjoyable time with both of you, right? So now we're thinking about our why. And then we can have an agreement on that, and then the how and the what quickly follow. So at that point, you're no longer controlling him, you're aligning on the same why, and then agreements flow.
All right. Now, you talk about a lot in the BEH2O, the entrepreneurial mindset of co parents, that it's in pursuit of purpose. And just like entrepreneurs chase opportunities, and assess what aligns with their mission. Co-parenting is no different. What is your mission? You write here, safeguarding your child's well-being. So, are you saying that two parents are like entrepreneurs trying to make their company successful, and what their company's mission is are their kids?
Exactly. And so it becomes more about not who has the right to do this, but who is the right person in the right seat. So if I was running my business, I wouldn't want my accountant to do my interior design. Why? Because it may not look very well. I don't want my interior designer to do my accounting. So rather than mom being the basketball coach because she has the right to be the basketball coach, when dad is much more skilled and um, has more flexibility to coach the basketball team, then maybe dad would coach the basketball team. Maybe dad gets his stomach gets upset when his children get a shot or he sees the slide of blood. So maybe mom is the best person to take the children to get their shots. And so when we start to think about what we're both good at, then we're going to achieve more success for our kids. So I love this analogy. If I was going to give mom and dad, I had a bunch of mom and dads in BEH2O class, and I'm going to say, I'm going to put you all in a car race. Put you all in a car race. Whoever wins this car race gets $1 million for their kids. Are you guys going to fight over who's going to be the pit boss and who's going to be the driver? Or are you going to begin to think about who is the best at driving? Who is the best at repair? Because the team that takes that mindset is the one who's likely going to win.
So you're basically would turn to your spouse and say, "Go ahead, you do it. You're the better driver." It's very obvious who's good at what. It
Yes.
already was. You know that because you were married to the person.
Or we get frustrated, I don't want to be his secretary or her secretary anymore. But you're better at scheduling and organizing. Is it in your child's best interest that someone drop the ball? If you're the scheduler, then maybe you should schedule because you're the best at it. And shift your mindset. It's not I'm doing this because I'm his or her secretary. I'm doing this because we're running a business of raising happy, healthy children. And I'm the best suited to do this piece of it.
And that's when you drop the resentment for your ex and you drop that attitude as, "I always, why do I always have to do this?" And then you say, "Because it's better for my kids. It's better for the corporation that we have together." Love
Yes.
it.
And that mindset, Jackie, takes you out of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. It takes you out of your reptilian, baboon, irrational brain and brings your more rational brain online so you can make better decisions in parenting and co parenting.
All right, Trina, I want to get into, because we only have a little time left, these boundaries that you talk about. You say that BEH2O teaches healthy co parent boundaries that are balanced, aligned, necessary, and communicated. Tell me about each one of these things.
Well, balanced is it goes both ways. So it's absolutely mutual. So if the cost is too high with mom going into dad's home, then the cost is too high with dad going into mom's home. Because if one of them allows the other to go into the home and the other does not, that's really confusing for children. And it makes them feel like someone's the bad guy in that situation. So our boundaries have to be really mutual. The other thing is oftentimes we create boundaries out of fear. And it's really undermining our why. So in BEH2O, we talk about our goals before we ultimately create our boundaries because our boundaries must be aligned with our goals and they must be rooted in our why. They also have to be communicated. I can't say I'm in my mind, I'm going to set this boundary. For example, I am not going to answer any of his messages except on Sundays. So your co-parent sends a message on Tuesday, no answer. Sends a message on Wednesday, no answer. On this end, your co-parent is getting anxious, annoyed, overwhelmed. That's not supporting him in being peaceful and at ease and being the best co-parent he possibly can. He's just like, what the hell is going on? And is this woman ever going to respond to me? But if mom were to say, I will check your messages. The best time for me to check them is at 7 p.m. on Sunday nights. I will respond to all outstanding messages by Sunday at 8 p.m. And then she maintains that boundary of doing it then. Because if next week she responds on Tuesday sometimes, and then on Thursday, now dad is like, he doesn't know if it's going to happen on Sunday or Tuesday or Thursday. So we're setting dad up for disappointment. So if we're going to maintain a boundary, we need to say it and we need to stick to it. But if mom's going to set this boundary, I want to be best prepared to respond to all of your messages. So I am going to specifically set aside 30 minutes on Sunday so I can thoughtfully respond. Dad's going to receive that boundary much more because it was communicated to him and the why behind it was shared. Of course, he wants mom to thoughtfully respond to his messages in a calm, cohesive, clear way.
So basically, you're taking away anxiety, fear, resentment, conflict, and it's all spelled out for people. But what happens after the BEH2O course is over? People are living, it's 6 months later, things are changing, something changes. Do you teach people how to have these conversations to recreate boundaries, different boundaries?
You don't have to recreate them, Jackie, because they create an operating system in BEH2O. So they create their operating system, which outlines their goals, which outlines how they're going to communicate, and which outlines their boundaries. But you are correct. Just like in the entrepreneurial operating system, there's what's called quarterly meetings and annual meetings, because approximately every 90 days, we fall off course and we need to be grounded and centered. So we encourage parents to have a quarterly meeting, whether that's at Starbucks, whether that's a recorded meeting via OFW, whether that's a phone call, whatever sets these individuals up for success. So a BEH2O certified coach can handle that quarterly meeting, or we set it up for them to handle it on their own. But it needs to be scheduled because oftentimes what happens is things are going great. So we don't have our quarterly meetings. And guess what? 4 months down the road, things aren't going great anymore. So we plan in times of peace as opposed to times of war.
Oh my gosh, this really does sound like a corporation. They have an operating agreement, quarterly meetings, an annual meeting. I love it, Trina. This is all so wonderful, and I'm so sad that it was not available to me in 2008 when I was getting divorced, because it would have made a huge difference in our kids' lives and even in our relationship now. And, who's to say maybe my ex wouldn't have even been divorced again. So I think the whole course would have been different outcome had we had a tool like this. So really appreciate the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for being on the show too.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure.
If you want to learn more about the BEH2O program, you can find it at thelaneproject.com. You can find providers there, and you can also find them in the trusted professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling, which is divorcedgirlsmiling.com, in the co-parenting course section. And I want to also let you know that another Divorced Girl Smiling trusted professional named Lisa Lisser is a divorce coach who is trained in the BEH2O program. So if you like what you're hearing, you can get in contact with Lisa and do the BEH2O through her. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and we'll talk to you real soon.